Hi there, and welcome to This Day in History for April the 2nd. April the 2nd is the 92nd day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 93rd in leap years, with 273 days remaining to the end of the year. Today's word is scow. Scow is a flat-bottomed boat with square ends. This word comes to us from the Dutch language, scow, that means ferry boat. The earliest documented use of this word is 1524. I'm on paper today. Oops. Hopefully I can get this recorded before the battery turns red. Before we go on, I'd like to say a special happy birthday to my brother-in-law, David. He's been a wonderful asset to our family, thoughtful, kind, and hardworking. He's been a good friend and a reliable co-worker to me, a wonderful husband to my sister, a great dad to their children, and as far as I can tell, a blessing to everyone who knows him. By virtue of his existence in our lives, I'm privileged to know his side of the family, from his mom and stepdad, sisters, brother, and their spouses, all the nieces and nephews, all of whom I'm proud to have in my extended family. I realize not everyone can say that. Anyway, David, I'm glad that you are exactly who you are, and I'm grateful to know you and have you in our lives. So happy birthday. I hope you've had an awesome day and we'll have a beautiful year going forward. I'd like to take a moment to say that links to my research are included in the show notes. Ask you to click that like button. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and feel free to share this video with others. You can do that with a link in an email or social media. And with that, we're going to go on to the year 1513, when Ponce de León claimed Florida for Spain. On April 2nd, 1792, the Coinage Act was passed, establishing the United States Mint. The Mint, by the way, only does coins. Paper money is handled by the Bureau of Engraving and Printing. There are currently 4 active coin-producing mints in Philadelphia, Denver, San Francisco, and West Point. And in case you're curious, as I was, Bureau of Engraving and Printing has production facilities in Washington, D.C. and Fort Worth, Texas. This is the birthday of Danish novelist, short story writer, and poet Hans Christian Andersen, born April 2nd, 1805. We're finally getting that rain they were talking about all day. On April 2nd, 1863, during the American Civil War, the largest in a series of Southern bread riots occurred in Richmond, Virginia, which made me wonder, bread riots, what's that all about? Well, it is that during March and April of 1863, cities throughout the South, people invaded and looted shops and stores. Wartime had led to crazy inflation and a lot of refugees, so there were a lot of people with not much money. There was a drought the year before that caused a poor harvest in a time when there wasn't much food to begin with. Also, they didn't have the food preservation techniques that we have now. You know, now we can go to the grocery store and get canned foods if we want to, or frozen foods, and they just didn't have that. They didn't have the means or the techniques to home can their foods the way we're able to here. One method that they were able to use for food preservation was salt. They used salt to preserve meat, and they were running low. They were not able to get salt. Can you imagine your table without salt? Anyway, the result of all this supply chain issue was a shortage of food items, and what little food there was very expensive. So people, mostly women interestingly enough, rioted. These riots were called the Southern Bread Riots. The largest of these riots happened on this day, April 2nd, 1863. Jeannette Rankin, the first woman ever elected to U.S. Congress, assumed office on April 2nd, 1917. Also on April 2nd, 1917, President Woodrow Wilson asked Congress for a declaration of war against Germany. The soap operas, As the World Turns and The Edge of Night, premiered on CBS on April 2nd, 1956. These 2 soaps became the first daytime dramas to debut in the 30-minute format. I remember as a kid at Gracie's house, she looked after us while Mom worked, and she watched those soap operas. We watched them with her. The computerized legal research service LexisNexis was launched on April 2nd, 1973. For some reason we will probably never know, workers at a biological weapons plant in Russia failed to replace a crucial filter, resulting in a release of anthrax spores into the outside air on April 2nd, 1979. This led to an anthrax epidemic in which over 60 people and an unknown number of livestock died. Argentina invaded the Falklands on April 2nd, 1982. John Gotti was a New York mob boss, and he had acquired the nickname of Teflon Don because, although he had been implicated in a number of crimes over the years, prosecutors had never been able to make anything stick. Until April 2nd, 1992, when all the charges stuck. He was finally convicted of such charges as murder and racketeering. Pope John Paul II died on April 2nd, 2005. He was 84. And I think that's going to do it for us today. As I said, links to my research are included in the show notes. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. And give it a like if you enjoyed this video. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. I put that on airplane and I'm still getting notifications. I don't have all the text. We'll do that in a minute. And we'll probably leave that part out. So many mistakes. I don't know how all that's going to go together, or if it's even going to make it to the video. We'll just see. That's not going to go. Yeah, we're going to cut those out. That'll all be laying on the cutting room floor. So I'll just do that whole thing over. That might not make it into the video. We'll see. Changing it up.